The year is 2006, and Sega is ready to bring their poster child, Sonic the Hedgehog, into the new age of gaming to celebrate his 15th birthday. Their team works hard day in and day out to bring fans the best Sonic game they've ever experienced. However, unbeknownst to them, what they create is a slow, glitchy, broken mess of a game. And despite all that, they'd have the nerve to name the game after their first hit game. Today, let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Okay, so technically I didn't lie. Okay, so I know what you're all thinking. This is just Sonic 1. Well, yes and no. Like I said, I didn't technically lie. This is Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis, a port of Sonic 1 released for the Game Boy Advance on the same exact day as Sonic 06. Yeah. And I'm sure those of you unfamiliar with this game is thinking, I don't see the problem. This just looks like regular Sonic 1. Does it though? To show you the problem, let's compare footage of the GBA port with footage of the original Sega Genesis game from 1991. You see the problem? Sonic Genesis is notorious for its slowdowns. That is not my emulator. That is not my recording. That is how the game actually plays. And that's not the only problem with the gameplay. For context, the game comes packaged with two modes. Original mode, which is just Sonic 1 in its semi-normal state, and Anniversary mode, which adds the spin dash. Yeah. Don't use it. The physics in this port are very broken. Because see, despite the game being in a state of constant slowdown, for whatever reason, when Sonic speeds up, so does the game. And it speeds up by a lot. Partner that with the fact Sonic keeps any and all forward momentum even after hitting a wall, that leads to a lot of times you just zoom forward completely against your own free will. And all of that leads us to our next problem. The screen size. You see, because the game is on the Game Boy Advance, the screen is crunched and zoomed in to accommodate for the size of the handheld. Which means, 9 times out of 10, you can't see what's in front, above, or even below you. So several times, you'll be trying to go forward and you'll get hit by an enemy you couldn't see. That also means a lot of times you'll be taking leaps of faith when you jump because you have no idea what kind of obstacle is below you, or if there's anything below you at all. And all of this leads me to beg the question, why is this game on the GBA? The Nintendo DS was released almost 2 years from the day as this game, and 4 years after this game would be the home to the Sonic Classic Collection, which comes with a port of Sonic 1 with the original screen size, which makes there even less of an excuse for Sonic Genesis because the Game Boy Advance, while smaller, arguably has more screen space than the DS. Another issue with this game is easily the sound quality, because while not horrible, instead of just using the actual music and sound effects from Sonic 1, which granted, it's a Game Boy Advance, I know that would have been pretty hard to do, all the sound is recreated using MIDI fonts, and well, it's very noticeable. And yet, once again, there's no excuse for this, because Sonic Advance, which was released 5 years before this game, has great music and sound effects, which were also made using MIDI fonts. But what really makes there no excuse is the fact Sonic Advance 3, 2 years before Sonic Genesis came out, has a MIDI version of Green Hill, and it sounds so much better. To bring it back to the physics, the jumping. Oh boy, the jumping. You see, because of the lack of screen space, to compensate for the fact that you can't really see, the jump height is actually slightly boosted in this port of Sonic 1, which doesn't sound like an issue on paper until you actually play the game. Because you see, Sonic 1 isn't designed for an increased jump height, and because of the slowdown, your jump also stalls for a lot longer than it should. And so, with those two factors combined, you take something as simple as the first boss fight, and well... I shouldn't have been able to do that. You actually jump and stall so high, you're able to float up and jump on Dr. Robotnik multiple times at once and not get hit at all. And speaking of floating, you've probably guessed it by now, but yes, the bad physics and gameplay make Labyrinth Zone 100 times worse. So much so that my recordings for this video stop with a game over screen on Labyrinth Zone Act 2, but we'll save that for last. For one thing, the slowdown is already bad enough. Couple that with the fact Sonic already moves slow underwater, and well... the game runs way too slow for its own good when you're in the water. And the number of enemies, obstacles, and all-around moving parts probably only make it worse than it already is. And remember what I was saying about the jump height? Well, that doesn't only apply to jumping, it also applies to the flyback from when you take damage. And well, let's just see what that looks like underwater. My God! That's the equivalent of taking a mulligan! Why do you fly so high up and so far back? It's almost impossible to get your rings back in these conditions, and that means you're probably gonna die a lot. And speaking of dying a lot, you will see this game over screen so many times. I don't care how good you are at Sonic 1, you will die a lot. And it will almost never be your fault. Point in case. What the hell was that? I got crushed? By what? The concept of getting crushed? That doesn't make any sense. Bottomless pits, no rings, this crap, you will die. No matter what you do, it's unavoidable, and all you can do is suck it up and try again. It sucks that this game came out to celebrate the 15th anniversary of Sonic. It sucks both these games are the 15th anniversary games, but if I had to pick one, I'd gladly pick Sonic 06 to symbolize 15 years of Sonic than the worst version of Sonic 1 ever released. And it's sad because somewhere out there is someone who can say Sonic Genesis was their first Sonic game. A permanent stain on their memory of the franchise because this is all they'll associate Sonic 1 with. And to that poor soul, I am so very sorry. I hope you've all enjoyed my little rant about Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis. If it isn't obvious by the date this video hopefully gets uploaded, this is supposed to be my April Fool's video. That's the Sonic 06 setup at the start. But this is something I really put a lot of time and effort into, so I really hope this video doesn't flop. Who knows? Maybe. If this video does well, I'll suck it up and make something like it for other Sonic games I'm not too fond of. Yes, even that one. But for now, this was just a little experiment, we'll call it. With that all being said, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a lot, and leave some feedback on how you like this style of video. Also, like the video. Alright, goodbye everybody.